This is Wayne at Firewater Forge with a video about my ever-growing pan collection and some thoughts on different designs and modifications and such. Now then, this is the Trinity bowl. I got this thing a number of years ago. It sat in the shed and I actually gave it a fair shake last week. And I have to say, for what it does and how it was explained on YouTube, it actually works pretty good. It's got a pretty deep recess here, and it holds the gold no matter what, even the really small stuff. However, compared to other designs we have nowadays, it's just not that efficient. But it's not a bad bowl. I don't believe they're being made anymore. If they are, someone please let me know. But if you want a combination between that catchment and the riffles here, and the really fine ones are really good, I have to say that. I don't want to make the pan sound like it's not worth having. It is. But it's just that when Gold Claw came out with theirs, well, things changed. Okay, onward. Some time ago, I got a couple of really cheap pans, and I decided, because I got a huge Batea pan, but I can't use it right now, I figured I'd modify a pan and see how it would work. So what I did here is I used a hole saw I got at Harbor Freight, and I bored a hole here and then put Kydex on the backside just to give it a little bit of an area to catch gold. It didn't really work too well. So then I took a prescription bottle top, thank you Walgreens, it's a pretty big one, and just glued it on there. And I thought, you know, the threads might help. It'll act as like riffles, kind of hold gold in there. It held some. I wasn't quite satisfied. And for some reason, I can't find it right now. But I have a black version of this pan where I glued one of those dead center and used it much like a Batea pan. It didn't work, at least not for me. The thing is that with this flat surface here, it doesn't give you the kind of gold retention you would think you would have. I lost a lot from my test pans. So I was just screwing around. I figured I'd show you or share with you the results I got from this modification. So moving on. Okay, so this is the Fosaker pan, right? It's a great idea, and I like it. However, a Gold Claw it is not. The only thing I have found about this, and another pan I'll show you in a moment, is that when you get your concentrates in the riffles here, and you get it, you know, you wash it down and you concentrate it here, and then you do this back and forth motion with water to bring the lighter material off and leave a layer of gold in here. That does work, but the problem is that when you go to take out some of the water, you know, to give you the right amount, what'll happen is that it'll come down right here and here and blow out about a dime size area, maybe a nickel size area of cons down here. What I found to do is I would, you know, when I get ready for the final shakeout, as it were, I would tilt it and work it over here, and then I would tilt it back and let the water drain out so it wouldn't flush any of my cons out. It's actually not a bad pan to have. I'm still having a lot of fun with it. It's well made. And yeah, if you want to fool around with something like that, I love the fact that it's got the number of riffles it has. However, this one is called Le Trap. I'm not sure why they came up with that, but I like it a lot. I like it as much as the Gold Claw. Before I go any further, the one thing I will mention is that it isn't quite as fast as a Gold Claw. What I was doing is I would use it to reduce the dirt down to a layer of cons and black sand, and then I would pour that into a Garrett Super Sluice and use that as a finishing pan. So these things have the riffles go, you can't see it here, I'm sorry, but they go significantly back. They hold on to the gold really well, I find. I still had the same problem with the water coming down and blowing out cons in the corner. But it's not as severe as the Fosaker pan. Sorry about my fingers in the way. Here, gotta get it. It's a one-handed video. The one thing I like though about this over the Fosaker is the fact that in order to move it back and forth in the water with the Fosaker, it just for me was kind of an unnatural feeling, and it led to fatigue. Having this little pour spout here gives you a natural hold on so you can move it back and forth. This one wasn't that expensive. I think I spent like 20 bucks from a gentleman that was selling them at a rock and mineral show of all places. I saw this thing. I've had my eye on it for a number of years, and I grabbed it. I asked him via email if he plans on making a bigger one, and I guess that's something in the future for them. It's pretty big as it is. I mean, the scale of my hand to it. But it does hold on to even the smallest, finest gold, which works really well as far as I'm concerned. So it's kind of a tie between this and the standard gold claw. I would have to say that my thoughts on it are I edge a little bit more toward the gold claw, but I guess maybe it might be just user's bias because I've got 3 of these things of the 3 sizes, and I really like them. I have to admit the tiny one, the little one, I really haven't given it a fair shake. I've used it a couple times, and it's like, yeah, I'll just throw it in the back of my truck and forget about it for a while. But I bought the production pan, and I really like it. It's really well made and ergonomic as far as I'm concerned. The only problem is if you're like me and have a torn rotator cuff, it makes it much more difficult to use because the amount that you want to put in, but it will process a lot fast. Now then, the thing I did with this, and I hope one day they will take care of it at Gold Claw Incorporated. These riffles are open on the sides, and where the action of moving this back and forth, I'm not too worried about gold going up and out there, but it does bother me. So what I did is I took some Kydex that I used to use for making knife sheaths and things like that, cut out a couple of pieces, and put a fence on. What I would do is I would cut what I wanted, and here, let me give you a better look. You can see how high it is right there, right? So I would put it in place and then use, El Cheapo super glue from Harbor Freight, and that would hold it in place while I went ahead and used 2-part epoxy and really put it on. The kind of epoxy you're going to want to use is that JB Weld. I don't see where it says it on the packaging, but it's good for plastics. I've used it on other plastic things like skid plates for my buggy and that sort of thing, and it's really durable. Although I would say that you want to, I don't think you can see it, but I sanded down the surface there to not only clean it up, but to rough it up. Now, this is the second joint I did, and I'll tell you the mistake I made. This one I put masking tape down. So after I put the epoxy in, I let it kick a little bit, and then I pulled the tape up, and it made for a much cleaner joint. Now, I'm really embarrassed about what I'm going to show you next because it just looks like murder. But I just kind of put it on, and you can see I tried scraping some of the extra off, and it just looks horrible. If it looked like that, I'd be proud of the job. So take a page out of my book and use tape. Make it look good anyway. I'll hopefully never have an opportunity to flip that over and show my friends just how good a fabricator I am. So anyway, that's it. For the fun and the money, if I only could have 2 gold pans for the rest of my life, it would be this Gold Claw and a Garrett Super Sleuth. If I had to have only 1 pan for the rest of my life, the Garrett Super Sleuth overall is my go-to pan. So anyway, any questions or anything like that, firewaterforge@yahoo.com. And thank you for watching.